Estamos aquí.
Booyah, booyah, booyah. Here we are. Sunday leftovers.
Yep.
I really shouldn't do fist bumps.
Oh.
This is a very important piece of jewelry, and I don't know what I should cover it before I fist bump.
But I'm doing the fist bump without my super strong tungsten
ring. Married forever. All right, here we are. Sunday leftovers, y'all.
Welcome to the favorite space of Trey Pruitt.
Trey. Welcome, Trey, to church on Tuesday. He's going to get mad because he got mad last time when we talked about it.
I'm sorry. I love you.
Here we are. No beaver felt hats from Stetson today when it gets this hot in Texas. The first thing you can do to cool things down is just to take your hat off. And so no hat today because it is hot as you know what down here.
Right.
Yeah, anyway. Here we are.
We are taking a special care today about our scenography.
Okay.
So if you go this way,
oh, look who we have
you
here.
will see this guy. Ooh.
That's our youth intern. That's Akshay. He's in the background getting the work done.
Yeah.
All right. Sunday leftovers. Sodom and Gomorrah. The worst story one of the worst stories in the Old Testament to me. One of the hardest.
I don't know if the worst, but probably the most misinterpreted,
misunderstood.
Yeah,
I guess that's what I mean. Here, let me explain to you why. To me, it feels like the worst story of all. It might be the story that has done most damage to people, and so that's when I say it's my least favorite. It's because I'm aware of how it has functioned.
Right.
And it has been. Listen. If you were a gay kid growing up, especially a gay male growing up in the church, and you were taught that an entire ancient city was torched and burned to the ground because they were like you, if you internalize that message, I don't know how you walk that back. I don't know how you repair that. And so I guess when I mean it's my least favorite, I would literally have taken it out of the story. I mean, what is the game?
We as heterosexual cisgender men, we cannot
bear
the entire weight of this story for so many people.
Nope, we can't. It was a devastating interpretation, and as we talked about on Sunday, it really hung on the prejudice of those who were compiling and editing it, because according to Ezekiel, the sin of Sodom had nothing to do with homosexuality.
Yeah.
In fact, that word is foreign to our text until we put it in there, and so I think it's the culmination of some courage to say, let's even take the hard things and find something of value in them.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is I don't know that I found anything of value in that story. Even after looking and looking and looking, a friend said, well, maybe Abraham negotiating with God was valuable. It's a good reminder. I don't know. I think the only valuable thing I could find in the end was an apology and a thank you for those who are still with us, who were part of that group of people that were maligned by an ancient story.
Right.
There's no question that Sodom, it was an example of a city that had lost its way, because it does turn up often.
Yeah.
But it was often characterized by the prophets, both minor and major, as a city that did not know how to respect an outsider.
But
boy, if any culture is guilty of that, wouldn't you say that's welcome to America? I mean, come on. Anyway.
I mean, when you said that, I immediately think that when you read that passage in Ezekiel, actually, he's talking about the evil of Jerusalem. And he puts Sodom and Gomorrah in this level of evil, and Jerusalem in this level.
Eventually, yes.
I mean, it's not like Sodom and Gomorrah are the worst. Totally opposite. Jerusalem is the worst.
Right. That, according to Ezekiel, that's right.
According to Ezekiel.
Which is interesting. Yeah. Also,
interesting.
Ezekiel calls Sodom her sister.
Right.
So these evil people that we love to hate are your siblings before you get all uppity about hating these cities on the plain. It's not super interesting to figure out, was it a natural disaster? Was it divine judgment? What's interesting is to see how it functions in the ongoing psyche of a people as an example of a city who did not know how to welcome. I think that's the point. Now, flip this around. Let's imagine for a second. You and I know the treatment that the church has given to the gay community since we've been around. Is it not a violation of welcoming all? Isn't it ironic that in our quickness to interpret this, we become guilty of inhospitality towards our sisters and our brothers, even if we say that's not okay, it wouldn't matter. The bottom line is it still isn't okay
Right.
to do what we have done with our text.
Right.
So it's sobering, man. It makes me wake up on a Monday morning and want to read something different.
Right.
I don't want to go. It makes me want to read something different.
But people need to know also that in theology we have a category that is etiology.
Etiology, yeah.
Etiology. And etiology is a way to explain something that you already seen with an ancient story. Why
yeah.
women have so much pain during the pregnancy? Oh, okay, let's go to the Genesis chapter 2 and chapter 3, there's the origin of the pain.
Right.
And when people start to write and talk stories about this, that city was already destroyed thousands of years or maybe 100 years ago. And they saw the salt pillars,
which were natural mineral outcroppings of the topography. Whatever.
You name it. Oh, okay, that's what. It's a way to try to.
They're meaning makers, aren't they?
Yeah, they're meaning makers.
They're meaning makers, and they're theologizing about the demise of someone they hated. And here's what disturbs me, because it would be interesting history classes that we could take on a Tuesday evening, if it weren't for the fact that we're still guilty of the same thing. Whenever the people we hate suffer, we automatically theologize and say, well, of course they're being punished.
Right.
Think of, I can't, the unmentionable names in my world would be those who run to the mic after 9/11 or run to the mic after Katrina, run to the mic after the AIDS epidemic is discovered and begin to say, this is God punishing America for. Those are my least favorite voices in the game, but this is what we do. We rejoice in the demise of the people we dislike. And so we create gods that hate our enemies. And we have some reckoning to do, because I think you can make the case, looking back through the various tree rings of time, that enemies of God that category has been dissolved in Jesus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Because all the people that we would say, oh, those are filthy, wicked, awful people, of course, in the times of Jesus, of course, the Samaritans, the people from Samaria, those people are terrible people. They're dogs, according to the people of Jesus' time. So what does he do? The first thing he does is he dignifies them with his presence. And so, we have some fixing to do. But I think that there's power in the simplicity of an apology, a heartfelt apology that says, not only I'm shocked that you're in this space still, but thank you, because we are enriched. And we all get to be proud of that. So that was Sunday. Scott Reeves, good friend here in town, is asking us to discuss something we don't even believe in anymore, so we're going to disregard that, Scott. Scott says, you should talk about hell, because I think we live in it. Thank you, Scott.
Well, this is a very good point. Metaphorically, okay.
It's
very hot
even
here.
If we behave poorly, there's no hell left for us. We live in Texas. We got that all out of the way. Yeah. There's value in showing hospitality. Mary, don't drag over it.
This, okay.
Move. Okay. There's value in showing hospitality to strangers as a spiritual value. Of course there is.
Right.
In fact, I would say hospitality to the outsider, in many cases, as I read the Old Testament, and you would have to talk to a rabbi on this because I'm not a rabbi, but in many ways, I think hospitality to the outsider was the central point of spirituality for the ancient Jews.
Right.
We've lost that completely. Totally. And boy, you talk about a spiritual discipline. We all know the disciplines of prayer and fasting and all these things.
Yeah, hospitality is not in the
What if we
top
dialed
three?
all of those things down a couple of points and just rolled hospitality wide open? And then what? I promise you that would be life impactful. Yeah.
Totally.
What else?
There's another one.
Brendan Flegel, Sodom means to burn or to plow. Isn't that interesting? Like preparing ground or purifying. It is interesting. Yep.
Mary
The
Johnson.
divine desire that we show hospitality was not limited to people like us. All they need to be were those who needed shelter. That's true. And Mary, we're gonna get into this a little bit this coming week as we talk about Moses and the Great Exodus. You know, if you think that Moses leads the only people God loved out of Egypt into the wilderness, then you have forgotten the Egyptians, who were as loved by God as anyone else.
We are stuck with the tribal God. When I say we, I'm talking about Christianity.
Yes.
I mean,
we're stuck with it.
Yeah, we love to say
and I think
there's favorite people for God, and I'm one of them.
I think we all are. But here's the thing. You know why we do that? Because our ancient text was written by people who that's all they could see.
Yeah.
Their great innovation was to say, God protects and feeds us. They could never have seen that this is the God of all peoples, even though that was the covenant with Abraham in Genesis 12.
Yeah, but that's why we read in the Bible, the God of Israel, the God of Israel, the God of Israel.
This is why we read the Exodus story with no compassion whatsoever for the firstborn Egyptians. Oh, God forgive us.
That's terrible. Okay, more comments.
Gomorrah means those throws as in struggle. Yeah, we didn't talk that much about Gomorrah, but and we may have spelled it a few times wrong. Sodom means to burn it to the plot. Okay, go back. He already said that. All right. Is there anything else?
We have this one.
Who's this?
Okay.
It's the same. I think they're just repeated.
Okay, it's the same thing. Okay.
He might be on a phone somewhere.
Oh, okay. It was in Facebook and then in YouTube.
I got it.
But we have the comments here.
Yeah. So it's a tough conversation. It's one that I'm aware of. There's great guilt, I feel, as hailing from a tradition that did such damage, and I would prefer to stay clear of those particularly terrible chapters, but we can't now. We have to be honest.
And I think it's good at this point of our process to think that there's passages in the Bible that doesn't have an happy ending.
Yeah.
They're just brutal.
Yeah.
They're just terrible.
Yeah.
But we need to.
Yeah.
But so many generations are taking these passages to create more horrible things. That is our duty to go back and says, okay, this is not what it means.
Right.
Something different. And one more time, for example, gay people that are still looking in churches, spirituality, they have my most high recognition.
High regard, yep. High
because,
esteem.
there's, that better word.
Yeah.
Because in so many places, they're just receiving bad things.
Condemnation. Yeah. Which is a function of our own fear.
And they're insisting. So, oh my goodness.
Our fear.
I love you guys.
Our fragility and fear around our own sexuality has created a great need for us to misquote ancient things in order to authorize the hatred that we don't want to deal with. It's far easier to denigrate and diminish and tear down the other than it is to say my experience is this, your experience is that. And I think if you look at these stories long enough, the point of the stories is exactly that. It's fear and distrust and hatred of an outsider, which that no matter what text you use, you cannot authorize that. You cannot authorize that and baptize that and say that that is good. You just can't do it. Yeah. Every evil known to man has been authorized by our text. You can find an example somewhere that does it, encourages it, sanctions it, normalizes it, mainstreams it. And if you want to be a homicidal xenophobe, you can find examples in our text where homicidal xenophobes were the protagonists of ancient stories.
Endorsed in some way.
And so we have to be wiser than that. We got to look through the tree rings, taking them all into consideration. And so there'll be a great transition this week as we look at a more positive story, because the story of the Exodus is almost universally loved. Wasn't weaponized like the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, but
you received one comment during one of the on Sunday about the role of the women during that time. And this is,
I've thought about that comment multiple times. My people are curious and they're sharp as a tack. And when we open the floor, after you read a story like Lot sending his daughters out to be consumed by the mob, the first thing our people say is, this sucks for women. This is a really bad, and that is so true. And then there was a comment afterwards by a good friend who said, the connection I made was that I grew up in a home where as a child I would have been shoved out the door to be eaten by the mob if it meant that was protecting the holy men. And this person described their child, that made such a profound connection. And my God.
There's a lot of Christian churches that should be called cults, not Christian churches.
Because of the adoration of the holy man, right? Because of the worship of the holy man, because of the assumption that they can do no evil.
And they disregard for the people, other people.
Yeah. So, I guess as a way of transitioning now, moving on. If this story gives voice to some of the pain of your existence, either as a woman
Right.
or as the child of a household who saw the world this way, sit openly and with it. Sit with that grief, and that'll be slow work to work on. That'll be slow work to do, but it'll need to be done. And the same communities that wound also heal in time if we let them. But take the time you need to straighten that out, because if that was the kind of faith community you grew up in, that's a heavy deal.
Yeah, it's heavy.
That's
We
a
have
heavy
a
deal.
few more comments.
All right,
if you
what
want to read. Okay, this.
Correction of mistranslation is the best apology. Well, thank you, Mary. That's what I tried to do. Yeah. Let's see. It has to do with being fruitful, and being fruitful can be more than just being able to have children. Something that loves on
For
lives on
future generations,
posterity.
posterity.
Yeah. Who's this? Is this Akshay? Akshay sighting. And then he got up and left. Oh,
He just
Akshay,
left.
he's the
He
greatest.
just left.
Mary or Miriam means to be fruitful to have children. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So,
There you have it. So
Well,
on to
we-
the Sea of Reeds next week, and we'll see what happens.
but yeah, I would like to encourage people that is just founding us today, for example,
Yeah,
or any day,
yeah.
that take a look to the other
Other sermons in the
other
series.
sermons. They're
Yeah, they start on the
pretty good.
26th of June. They go back to 26th, I think it was, 29th,
I think
26th. And it's called Wait What? Bible
Wait.
Stories for Grown-Ups. And it's just a way of dealing with the hardest of our old stories, and the most confusing and sometimes the most unbelievable. And so they're not all hard. Some of them are just flat unbelievable.
Yeah.
Some of them are adventures in missing the point. Some of them are, I don't know why they're so important to us, but they have been in our childhood. And so we're gonna work our way through that, and then we're already in dialogue about where to go next, and we have no idea where that is. So
next Sunday is
Moses
the
and the
Exodus.
Yep, the Exodus.
That's
from Egypt.
interesting.
Yep, it'll be a good one. So we'll see you at the crossing of the Sea of Reeds, man. Toodaloo.
Are we done?
We're done.
Let me see.